All right, so I had promised you guys we would talk a little bit about this kind of stuff, and we will definitely take a look at that new ship that Kadoo's super excited about. But you guys wanted to talk a little bit more about this kind of stuff, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the link in the chat right there. You can jump in, take a look at, and follow along as well if you would like. Vladeshi says I'll have to be going to work in about -20 tomorrow. Your work is outside right now. Yeah, Vladeshi, that will be my experience on Tuesday. Tomorrow is a holiday for us in the States. It's President's Day, so yay. But yeah, Tuesday will definitely be that. Okay, so you guys had I asked for some suggestions for what to talk about today, and most responses had to deal with the commander rework and my thoughts on certain skills and what's going on. You managed to get the free XP for the small end. Congratulations. Which reminds me, for those of you guys looking for those free XP ships, the 200% first win is fantastic for that. You just have to, you just have to put all the flags and camo on and get a div going with at least 2 other people that you know and trust and work well with, and do that. Or you could do it in operations and grind a lot of free XP there. Or if you've got the ability to do, what am I thinking? The Clan Brawl. If you got the ability to do Clan Brawl, that's another good opportunity for you. Okay, because each win in Clan Brawl is 2,500 base XP, which is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. So, anyways, so in my spreadsheet here, this is nothing new. Okay, I haven't changed anything here, but this is all stuff that I wanted to make sure you guys had access to. Okay, some people asked about how I would recommend building each of the different ships. So I'm going to go into that. We're going to take a look here, and I can get rid of a few of these lines at this point, I suppose. We're going to start with destroyers. Actually, I'll leave those lines up for a second. We're going to start with destroyers. So if you look on the bottom, you can see all the different tabs over there. If you pick on the tab that goes into destroyers, you can kind of see my build for destroyer. Now this is a core build for destroyer. Okay, it's not what you're going to use on every single destroyer, but at least it's a core build, and by core build I mean this is typically what you're going to want to go for. I'm not going to put yeah, I'm not going to put that one in. Okay, so personally, we've talked about this before on stream. You don't need a 21-point commander to be competitive and do really good things on the battlefield. What you really need is just your core skills, and that's going to be either grease the gears or gun feeder. I can see the argument for either or, because gun feeder does give you the ability to switch ammo types, which can come in very handy. Wait. Did I screw this up? I screwed this up. This is my cruiser build. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I screwed this up. I screwed this up. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I did. I was looking at that. I'm like, that looks a little weird as I was talking. All right. Yeah, here's what I worked on for destroyers. Apologies, guys. There we go. That's what I worked on for my build. And Stevie, is Stevie in the way? No. Stevie's not in the way. Good. Okay. Nobody caught that in chat. Anyways, Clan Brawls helped you rack up the 34k free XP per win. Yes! It's very, very handy, Shadow. You're exactly right. Okay, so the core build for Destroyer is going to be, number 1, preventative maintenance, right? I can show you guys that on Good Loot Jets down here, or Loot Jens. Definitely going to be preventative maintenance, right? Next up is going to be consumables, or Swiftfish, or priority target. And I did that because it depends on your playstyle and depends on the specific destroyer you're going for. So a torpedo destroyer, you're probably going to want Swiftfish. A gunboat destroyer, you'll probably want priority target. And if you're a destroyer like kind of in the middle of the road destroyer, you're probably going to want consumables enhancements, because you want to be able to use make advantage of those consumables. Okay? So that's why I put that in there as ore. And then survivability expert for your third, and then concealment. That's your core build. Did I miss last stand? Holy crap, I missed last stand. I was doing this off of the wiki, and unfortunately, I missed a couple of things. All right, let me fix that. I was actually getting my oil changed at a car dealership. When I was building this, so I didn't have access to the game. I couldn't load it and run it, and I felt like it would be easier to, you know, just type it all out. And yeah, I screwed that up. So, preventive maintenance, last stand, survivability, concealment, that's your core build in your destroyers, always. Okay, after that, then you can branch off accordingly. If you're a gunboat destroyer, you probably want to go for main battery, because that gets you 5% increase in your main battery reload. And then that also helps for anti-air, of course. If you're a gunboat, then you're going to want to go for main battery and AA expert. I'm going to put that over here. And then over here, Fearless Brawler or Adrenaline Rush plus 1 point Grease the Gears is probably going to be how you would round out a gunboat destroyer build. For torpedoes, you're going to want to do probably Fill the Tubes or Adrenaline Rush, whichever one you find yourself doing more. I would personally go with just buffing the torps straight up. You're probably going to want radio location. Radio location is helpful in a torpedo destroyer because it allows you to know where the nearest enemy is. And if you think that's going to be a destroyer, you can at least have your guns turned and ready for that first salvo. And that's so huge in like a Shimakaze or a Yoshino or something else along those lines. Okay? Fill the Tubes or Adrenaline Rush would be the next one. And then, you know, it's up to you how you want to finish it up. If you want to do, I would probably finish it up here with Swift Fish and do it like that. That's probably how I would finish off that build. Let's see, 4, that's 10, that's 18, 21, and let's see, that's 4, or so that's 10, 13, 17, 20, 22. I can't do that. So I'd probably drop Swift Fish from there, and maybe I'd pick up another 1-pointer. I know a lot of people like talking about Liquidator and stuff like that. I might still go here with Grease the Gears. That's not how you have your Z52 build. This is how my Z52 build is down here. It's very different because I don't consider the Z52 to be a gunboat, and I don't consider it to be a torpedo boat. It's kind of like one of those jack of all trades, master of none boats. But this is how I did it in ranked battles, and it was extremely useful. The range is very helpful in the Z52 because the range is quite low at the start, and you want to be able to, you know, make your guns hurt at times. So that's why I like having that. And then concealment is concealment, obviously, but the radio location is very helpful for hunting enemy destroyers, which as a Z52, that's what I want to do, especially in ranked, right? I want to know where the enemy destroyer is. I want to head towards him. I want to pop that hydro and just kill him. Does anybody have any questions about destroyer builds at this point? Anything you want to know about in terms of commander skills and stuff for that? And while I'm pausing for chat to catch up on that, I will go ahead and start up another giveaway, because I can. Alright, giveaway's up. Oh, Game Prodigy! What do I think about Dazzle? I try not to think about Dazzle. Let's take a look at the skills here, and Dazzle is an activated effect. Okay, it reduces the accuracy of enemy fire on your ship for 15 seconds after being detected. Dispersion of shells fired by enemies attacking your ship increases by 20%. 15 seconds after being detected. So if you get detected by somebody, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 15, those seconds, any shells coming after you are going to miss. Okay? So here's the thing about that. The reason I don't like Dazzle is because it's something that's conditional. I don't like skills that require specific conditions. Generally speaking, I just don't find them useful enough for when they do activate. This is a great example of it. Okay, let's think about a random battle environment. In a random battle environment, or even ranked, you get detected. Are you shot at in the first second that you're detected? Probably not, right? Unless it's a radar ship that's detecting you, that's ready for you, right? Even then, what are the chances that their guns are locked in directly on you? Most likely they're looking away, and then they take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds to shoot, and then the shells take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds to hit you. So what I'm getting at is you have this buff to your ability to dodge and sneak and weave and stuff for 15 seconds, but the reality of it is it's only useful for about 5 seconds. By the time the enemy looks at you and shoots at you and the shells actually hit you, I just can't put points into that. You know what I mean? There's so many better things I'd rather have. Radio location. Consistent, it's always on. I'd rather have radio location, you know? Now, the other thing is, the way I look at Dazzle is, it's kind of one of those things where you proc it once in a battle, you might end up procking it a second or third time in a battle, but by the time you proc it the third or fourth time, you're probably taking a lot of damage and you're probably quite low. Cthulhu says, surely the shells fired during 15 seconds are all affected regardless of how long they take to get to you. That is true. That is true. Okay, so let's revise what I said to 10 seconds of usefulness. Right. I mean, okay, so we've gone from, 15 seconds to 10. It's still, I just don't think it's that useful. Vladeshi, if it was a 2-point skill, I could see that, but Wargaming is making it.
Do you mind if I say something?
Go right ahead.
Yeah, for somebody who's played Destroyer for almost 5 years, depending on your play style, I find that skill utterly useless, because if you're spotted more than just the opening first or second time, then what are you doing?
Right. Now, I'm gonna.
It's not use. Like you said, if you're proccing the skill multiple times during a game, you're wanting to be spotted, you wanting to be found, you might as well be playing a cruiser. Right.
That's
all I gotta say.
Math teacher, you're kind of hitting on what I was gonna mention, which is when it comes to trying to proc it and stuff, I mean, a good player, a Unicum player, somebody who really knows their ships, knows the game, knows the mechanics and all that, they're going to be able to take Dazzle and make it shine. Okay? That's 2% of the player base? 5%? 10%? I don't know. Whatever the percent is, it doesn't matter. It's not the majority of people. Dazzle is a crutch that unfortunately is broken for most people, right? They think that they're going to be safe. They get too aggressive and then they get wrecked. Okay? So for the vast majority of players out there, I don't recommend Dazzle, and that's okay, but at the same time, if you're picking it and you're happy with it, then fine. Again, go back to the core build. Always start with that core build. Start with Preventive Maintenance, Last Stand, Survivability, Expert Concealment. It doesn't matter what ship you're playing or what specific destroyer you're playing. All of them can utilize that, except maybe you could get away with non-concealment if you're like maximum gunboat meme. Sure, but you understand what I'm getting at for the most part. Oh, big stretch, Stevie. Big stretch. Look at him. Big stretch. Okay, I saw somebody asking about priority target incoming fire alerts. I don't like either of those two skills in a destroyer. I never have, I never will. Priority target just tells you how effed you are. If you're a destroyer and you're spotted, I mean, you need to assume that shells are coming your way. So why waste 2 points on that skill? Do you know what I mean? Why spend 2 points on telling you that people are targeting you? You're in a destroyer. You're going to be targeted. So the only time I might use priority target is if I'm playing a gunboat troll build. Great example of that was tier 8 clan brawl. I was playing the Kiev, and I maxed gunboated that. boy, did I love it. I had so much fun with that. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull up my Kyiv build in-game, and if I can put that on the spreadsheet for you guys. But the reason why I loved it is because what I was doing was I was using priority target to get an idea. Nope, I reset the captain, sorry. Oh, I got a special camo I gotta get rid of. The whole idea was it was telling me how many people were targeting me, and as a gunboat destroyer, if I'm trying to troll the enemy, I measure my success in how many people are targeting me, because if they're targeting me, they're not targeting my friends, right? And that's the whole point in a trolley destroyer. So priority target for me works then, because I can be like, 3 people are shooting me, guys, you know, and that's 3 out of 7, so that's 4 people that are left in the fight on the enemy team. Burn, yes, that's true. In a 1v1 situation, it does let you know when they switch from torps to guns. But Burn, I will say this, if you're in a 1v1 situation and you're up close with destroyers, it's pretty obvious when they switch to torpedoes because they aren't firing at you. And when they go back to guns, now you know torps are coming. So that's to me, that's something that you just kind of learn from experience, you know what I mean? Generally speaking, some players are really good at making you think that torpedoes haven't been fired when they have been. Sure. And that's why when I'm in a 1v1, I almost always jam on the brakes after about the first 10-15 seconds of engagement. And I turn opposite of where I was going, that sort of thing. But, you know, and yes, if you're the only one being aimed at in a destroyer brawl, sure. That helps as well, but like I said, to me, I always assume that if I am detected, anybody who's got range on me is shooting at me. That's just the plain and simple of it, you know. So if I'm in a brawl with another destroyer, I don't engage with that destroyer unless I feel confident that I can win in that brawl, kill that destroyer, and survive 2 of that player's teammates or whoever's nearby shooting at me as well. If I can't survive that, then why am I going to give battle? Do you know what I mean? I'm going to turn and run away. Hey Duckman. So that's just how I play it generally. But you know, again, everybody else, you guys are welcome to make your own choices. I'm just sharing what works for me. And everybody gets to pick, you know, what works for you. That's what's so cool about the commander skill build. I will mention, though, if you're going to pick up priority target, that comes with an opportunity cost. You're going to have to give something up. For a gunboat build, that means you might be giving up Fearless Brawler, or Adrenaline Rush even. And of course, if you're a torpedo boat, you're giving up Fill the Tubes or Adrenaline Rush, at least on my build right now. Holy crap, something just happened. We heard some 510s going off.
Cheered Dex 100 Shaka.
Hey, Bilbro, thank you very much for the cheer, my friend. Hope you're doing well.
Hey, Bilbro.
Okay, any other comments or questions on destroyer builds? Or are you guys good to move on? Oh, and also, somebody asked about incoming fire alert. Incoming fire alert is okay, but the problem with incoming fire alert is... Where is it? Warning about a salvo fired airship from a distance of greater than 4.5 kilometers. So that tells you when people from, you know, like battleships and cruisers are shooting at you, but especially if you're in a destroyer knife fight, it's not going to tell you when destroyers are shooting at you. In my experience with incoming fire alert is it's annoying because it keeps flashing on the screen when I'm trying to focus on what I'm trying to do, and I find that it keeps distracting me because it's like, salvo out, salvo out, salvo out, salvo out, and I'm like, stop shooting at me! So, I don't want to know. Yeah, thank you, Duckman. There you go. All right, last chance for questions on destroyers. All right. Oh, deadliest. We'll get to the cruiser stuff. Don't worry. Okay, thanks, Deadliest. Good to see you, man. How do you obtain the special commander for the Holland? I believe that was in the campaign. Is it still available? No, it was a time-limited campaign that came out with the Pan-European destroyers. It's not available now, and at some point I wouldn't be surprised if Jersey shows up in the armory. Checking the armory right now to see if he's in there. I don't think he is right now.
Not the last time I looked.
No, he's not. But I would expect to see him in there for either doubloons or coal at some point.
Well, if he gets in there like the rest of the other commanders, probably will be for coal, for 175,000 coal.
Yeah. Yep. If you don't have Jersey Mike, don't worry, you're not missing out too much. He's okay, but I don't consider him like OP in the sense of compared to other commanders. And oh my God, Garfield is cute.
Oh, you're looking at the pictures of. Yeah, he does this when he's mad at me. He turns his back on me and either sits, curls up with his back.
We've got a pet channel.
And then he also sits like that, just sitting there. He'll sit there and stare at me.
Yep. CS Proceed, I see how they destroyed the two special Russian captains. You're talking about the Zemenskys, who used to be god tier build for cruisers and now are still helpful on cruisers, but no longer as god tier. Yes, I've seen that. So that's a good segue to talk about our cruiser builds. So here's our cruiser build, and I would almost put top grade gunner as part of your core build for cruisers. Almost every cruiser is going to take advantage of top grade gunner. So I would start with 1 point on grease the gears or gun feeder, depending on your play style. For most players, it's probably going to be grease the gears. Your second point will probably go for either expert AA marksman or priority target. Actually, you know what? Let me put that in here. Priority target or expert AA marksman. Let's do it that way because then the other part goes here. So generally speaking, that's priority target is nice. We talked before with destroyers. I think it's extremely important to have in cruisers. Expert anti-air marksman is really fantastic as well. And then we get into adrenaline rush or superintendent. If you're a cruiser that has a lot of consumables, especially a heal, then you definitely want superintendent. If you're a low tier cruiser, mid tier cruiser, or whatever, then adrenaline rush is probably the way to go. Concealment expert would be the fourth choice. So there's your core build of 10, and then you probably want to go back and pick up the other option and top grade gunner. That would be my recommendation, at least to start. If you're a co-op cruiser player, you know what's good for you. Take priority target and last stand for the 3 point. Well, yes, absolutely. In co-op, because you are so aggressive and you're so in their faces, you don't need survivability skills, right? You're more looking for blitz skills. You're never going to use superintendent, for example, right? You're probably not going to get through. If you're getting through all your consumables and saying, I wish I had one more charge in co-op, you're probably going to lose that battle. So, yeah. But anyways, and then, going from there, you pick up Adrenaline Rush Superintendent, or you go with Consumables Enhancements, or Pyrotechnician, or 2 1-pointers. Cruisers, I feel like, unfortunately, the build is pretty darn cookie cutter. And here's my Des Moines build. Notice in my Des Moines build, I don't have expert or anti-air gunner, but I mean, that's because I wanted the extra AP damage that I was doing. And then in the Moskva, here's my Zemensky build. You can kind of see how that's set up. It's actually pretty much the same as, yeah. And then now we have, this is my Goliath build. I hate the Goliath, so take this with a ginormous grain of salt. And then Venezia, which actually is a little bit different because, well, I used Kay's special elixir last night and the night before, and it was really handy. The special elixir is that sap bonus. So, and top grade gunner too. This is a terrible build. Why do I have this? And then here's an Henri build. Goliath is Bay though. Maybe for you. I just nah. I just can't get into Goliath. That's a personal thing, I suppose. I feel like this guy is like looking at me weird. One of the does at the bottom of the screen there. He's like giving me the evil eye. Okay, so that's. And let's go over to skills and talk about the cruiser skills specifically, and the reason I would pick them. I mean, obviously, Grease the Gears is pretty obvious. Priority target's nice. Expert AA Marksman. A lot of people really don't understand how much of a bonus Expert AA Marksman is. Your continuous damage increases by 25%. That's on top of the extra bonus from reinforcing priority anti-air. And then you also get another puff of flak. We were talking with Grunty before. We said that the magic number is 6 or 7. I think it's 7 flak puffs. So the closer you can get to 7, the much stronger your anti-air is going to be. That was Edge's Venezia build. Okay, got it. Oh, you're right. That's right. It was Edge Case's special SAP elixir. Thanks for the correction, Kay. And then highlighted, these are just the skills that the special captains are on. So that's, I mean, the 2-pointers are pretty easy. This is what I was talking about with the Venezia. You get 10% additional damage with your sap shells, which is just redonkulous on the Venezia, but at the penalty of your range being greater by 15%. So you can't really do stealthy things anymore in Venezia. I mean, you kind of can, but kind of can't. But you don't care because you're there to just blap destroyers, and in competitive, that's what wins games. So there you go. Adrenaline Rush is okay, but with it being a 3-pointer now, it's just really expensive. So unless it's buffed, like the Honor Rays or Jersey Swirsky, I don't know that it's that useful anymore, unfortunately. Heavy AP shells, if you're playing an American cruiser, or maybe I could see you playing maybe like a Stalingrad, or maybe the special super cruisers could work with heavy AP as well. But I don't know. Superintendent, of course, is always helpful. Survivability expert, if you've got the special captains, there's a case for it, but you know, it really depends on how you play the ships. Top grade gunner is so good that I almost always recommend it in my builds. Okay, because you get that flat 8% buff to your reload time whenever somebody's detected within your range. Now, I know it's an activated effect, which means it's not always active, but if you're playing just about any cruiser that's going to be up and personal in people's faces, top grade gunner is fantastic. So why wouldn't you want that 8% buff to your reload? Outnumbered is terrible. Please don't take it. Radio location. I've seen Des Moines and other destroyer hunter cruisers using radio location. The problem is, what are you giving up to do it? That's my biggest problem with radio location. IFHE, same deal there. Concealment, of course, we talked about is important. And AA gunner, I don't know that you get enough out of anti-air gunner at 4 points to justify taking AA gunner, unless you were building a full anti-air troll ship and you're going to division with somebody who's in a carrier all the time, like grinding up a line. Then I might use that. But that's it. Adrenaline Rush on Salem, yeah, that can work. CS Prosty, your Cruiser Matrix isn't that fun. There's a lot of other things they could be doing. But, you know, you ran RPF because you had the space and King of the Sea builds? Well, okay. I guess. Does anybody have any other questions about cruisers? Somebody on the forums asked about what would you do with the super cruisers? Honestly, the same thing here. I don't think I would build my super cruisers any different, except, you know, superintendent, because they've got the heal, very important on the supers. I don't know. Right, yeah, radio positioning is definitely... Well, thank you, Mo Daddy. I love you too. Why is it that top grade gunner is not... No, I mispronounced your name, sorry. Condegas bar. No, top grade gunner is great for cruisers. I think you were asking about outnumbered. Why is outnumbered not good for cruisers? And right, Coughlin, exactly. Super cruiser without that other heal is just oof. So I'm gonna move this up so that my head's not on the way. Let's take a look at. Good evening. Let's take a look at outnumbered for a second, guys. Increases the ship parameters if there are more visible enemy ships than ally ships within your base's main caliber firing range. Maximum dispersion of main battery shells, minus 10%. Ship's maximum speed, plus 8%. So you're harder to hit, and you're a little bit more accurate with your shells. To me, that's just not enough. Increase the ship's parameters when there are more visible enemy ships than ally ships within your ship's main base caliber range. Draw a circle around your ship. Are there more red ships than green ships within that circle? If there are, you're probably going to die soon anyways. So, getting outnumbered to proc is extremely difficult. I could see you trying to make it work with a Zhao or a Venezia or something that's like super always on the flank and very aggressive pushing. Or ranked battles when you're trying to save your star, but other than those two possibilities, outnumbered just it doesn't work. Yeah, YOLO juice. I like how you call it that. YOLO juice. Yes.
I can only see it working in a kiting situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Only when you're kiting away and there's only a handful of ships that are really good at.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the reason why I see to take it would be if you plan on running in, getting the aggro, and then running away. Right.
And so, I mean that's why outnumbered just isn't really that useful. Now, like Kay says, if you're an all-star on a bad clan battle team and you play Venezia, it can shine. But what are you giving up for that? Let's go back to the cruiser build. What are you giving up? You're giving up Superintendent. Right? Or Adrenaline Rush, one of those 3-point skills, in order to make that happen. That alone makes it difficult to swallow, because these two builds, the Adrenaline Rush and Superintendent, are helpful throughout the game. Sire says, when I merc, lol. So I just can't fathom putting points into outnumbered. It's just... Because, well, okay, what are you giving up? You're probably giving up Concealment Expert, because you want people within... your gun battery. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. All right. Game Prodigies asking about IFHE. IFHE, same thing. You get 25% additional armor penetration, which is really good on tier 8 ships and up, because you get that. Tier 8 ships and up that are 152 millimeter. Cruisers, because when you have tier 8, you get 1/5 HE penetration. So let me pull up my calculator, and 152 divided by 5 is 30.4. Multiply that by 1.25, and that's 38 millimeters of pen, which will allow you to penetrate, everything that's 32 armed and 37. I'm not quite sure with the rounding if it does indeed pen 38 or not off the top of my head. So you could do that, but you give up half of your fire chance to do it, and yeah, I mean it is 37. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it penned because it rounds. Unfortunately, yep, thought so. So the idea, Game Prodigy, is you give up fire chance because fires are 100% healable, repairable. So when you use your repair party and you've burned for 60,000 HP of damage, potentially all 60,000 could be healed up, assuming you have enough time, like if you're in a Conqueror maybe or something, right? All of that 100% can be re-healed. Same thing with flooding damage, same thing with ramming damage, Keck. So all of that can be healed 100%. Penetration damage, though, can only be healed, I believe it's 50%. I think it's 50%. I could be wrong. Chat, please correct me if I'm wrong. But it is 50. Okay. But what I'm trying to get at there is Prodigy, by giving up fire chance, you are doing more lasting damage on enemy ships. Okay, so by doing more lasting damage on enemy ships, that means that when they hit that repair party button, they can't heal up as much, which means that that damage that you're doing sticks. Versus fire damage, where they can potentially just sail away from you, disengage, and then they come back 3 minutes later, back at almost full health again, because the fires, all that did is just kind of... It is a very specific now for a tier 4. Yes, it is Game Prodigy, which is why if you look at my cruiser build, I don't even have it listed as a possibility. I just don't think it's useful anymore. I think we've progressed to a point where you're far better off. It was Cthulhu, but the other skills, the other core skills, moved up in point values, and that's... I think that's where the key is. Priority Target is now a 2-point instead of a 1-point skill. So now you have to take something else on top of Priority Target before it, right? Adrenaline Rush used to be a 2-point skill. Now it's a 3-point skill, you know? So it's unfortunate that now it's a little bit more expensive for you to pick those kinds of things that you would normally pick otherwise. Now, like Edgecase was saying, I think it was Edge that said it. Yes. When it comes to like certain ships like a Smolensk, IFHE definitely works in a Smolensk because you've got so much high rate of fire that you don't care that you've lost 50% of your fire chance because you're hitting you're hitting so many shells, it just doesn't matter. But generally speaking, I don't put much value in IFHE anymore. I think you're far better off just spamming HE, trying to get ships on fire. If you get up on fire, you get them disengaged anyways. And if you get more comfortable and familiar using AP shells, then, you know, you're okay. Was it Cthulhu? I thought, Edge, you're the one that said something about a Smolensk. I don't know. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with chat and everything, but, you know, it is what it is.
I was getting ready to say it depends on the ship. You get something like an Atlanta or a Flint in there, you're flinging so many rounds at a ship. IFHE is definitely helpful, and you're going to set something on fire eventually.
Sure.
Like with the Smolensky or any other rapid firing ships like the Worcester.
I think one thing that a lot of people haven't quite figured out yet is the power of switching to AP and penetrating superstructure. Even for ships that are bow into you, if you're good at aim and you're good at, you know, holding down left mouse button and just farming over whatever, say it targets on 3 fires, or they just recently DCP'd, swap to AP, and you get each over penetration on superstructure is 10% of your shell's value guaranteed. There is no saturation effect that reduces. So, you know, versus HE where you can hit something and do like 200 damage, you know, it doesn't matter. So personally, that's what I'm starting to lean to when I play cruisers. I'm starting to switch to AP when I know I can't get a fire on them.
Well, that's what also makes Minotaurs so scary.
Yes.
Is that their rate of fire and the AP angles that are improved that makes them effective destroyer hunter, especially if you do the meme.
Right. Right. So IFHE at this point just isn't that useful anymore. So, oh, and one thing I want to mention, outnumbered. I think outnumbered would be worth it if there's an additional buff to your main battery reload time. Think about it as you're outnumbered, so we give it everything we got, we reload and blah blah blah. So I just think there's just not enough to make outnumbered have value right now, at least. These are all my opinions, guys. So take them or leave them. It's completely up to you. And like Ed says, yes, the 150, 180 class guns only gain battleship plating as a significant penetration threshold. So that means that, you know, if you're talking about like the Thunderer or Conqueror or whatever, you do get some value, but yes, you do lose fire damage as well. And like Ed says, if you spam on anything else that is not the battleship's ends, then it's a negative value. So let me do this for a sec. I'm going to let's go back into the game. Let's take a look at Armor Viewer so you guys can understand what I'm talking about and what Edge is talking about. I'm going to pull up some Battleship. And let's pick our Massachusetts and let's go to Armor Layout. Massachusetts has 32mm 4-in plating. So if you're playing an HE spamming cruiser and you put IFHE on it, then you want to aim for the bow or for the stern of that ship, because you will do penetration damage with your HE shells. But if you hit the deck, that's 38 millimeters, you will not do penetration damage. Armor belt on the side, though, is 32, so you can do it that way. But at long range, you're probably going to hit the deck more than you will the armor belt. But you can also hit the turrets, which won't do anything. Your shells will shatter, even the conning tower. And you can hit the plating, but you can already hit the plating anyway. So if you're that cruiser that is shooting at a battleship and you naturally and instinctively always hit the superstructure with your HE shells, IFHE is going to do nothing for you. It doesn't matter. Right, until they saturate. Once they saturate, your HE shells are going to do less and less and less damage. There was a video out by World of Warships recently about how stuff works. They re-released damage and hit points and all that kind of stuff, okay? So it's just not that useful. Now let's go and let's talk about everybody's favorite tier 10 balanced ship, the Thunderer. And again, you can take a look at the armor viewer here. 32, 32, 32, okay? So IFHE, if your target is Thunderers, is going to be fine, right? You're going to be able to pen all of this. Obviously, the gun turrets are no. But something else to keep in mind is most players nowadays in Thunderers are sitting pretty far back. Almost to the point where it's outside of your range of your main battery anyways. So I just don't see that being important. I see a cruiser's role as killing destroyers and securing key areas. And
if you get a Thunderer that's pushing, it's usually mid to late game, and all their targets have either moved too far back or they've been overrun.
Right. So let's take a look at some cruisers, for example. Let's take a look at our Des Moines. And our Des Moines got 27 millimeters of armor. So let's see. I did my calculations. 152 divided by 5 is 30.4. So your 152 millimeter guns will already penetrate the fore and aft deck and side plating on a Des Moines. And it's 30.4, so they will... Do they pen armor belt? It does, doesn't it? Where's a 152 armed light cruiser? I don't... Do I have any? There are... Wait. I think I have to go to tier 9.
Look on my Worcester real quick. Yeah, Worcester.
Oh, duh. I didn't think about Worcester.
37 millimeter.
Okay. There you go. Sorry, guys. It's been a while since I've played tier 10 tech tree ships because I've been testing so much and stuff. So sometimes I derp and forget about that. But you can always check in the tooltip in the game right there. And you can see, thanks, Shane, 155s will penetrate 30 millimeters armor. So going back to the Des Moines armor scheme, you can pen the side right there. And that's what Edge Case was saying about negative value. IFHE does nothing, zero, zilch, for penetrating cruisers. Most cruisers. Moskva. Russian cruisers are a little bit different because Russian. They do still have that 25 millimeter upper area, and then you've got 50s. IFHE won't even help you against this. So what does it matter? Do you know what I mean? Petropavlovsk. 25 up on the top, 50 on the same thing. You see what I mean? So you're not gaining anything with IFHE 30.
It's a case-by-case basis. You know, take your ship, figure out what you need, and take it.
Yeah, Shane, as people in chat are calling out, you probably have IFHE on your Worcester, Captain, because the base is 30.
Probably.
Is 30. So, okay. And guys, remember, if you're not sure about things, just take some time and look at it for yourself in the port. That's why it exists. That's why this information is here. And when it comes to shooting destroyers, you pen them automatically anyway. So once again, who cares about IFHE? You don't need it. Super cruisers, Puerto Rico. Oh, look, 27. Oh, look, 30 millimeter. Now, the deck armor, you will not pen because it's 38. Even with IFHE, you won't pen the deck armor on the Puerto Rico. So it doesn't really matter much, you know? All right, guys. Any other questions about the commander skills for cruisers? You guys finding this helpful? Is it good to talk through this? What are the numbers on the right side? CS Prosty. Oh, these are ratings. If you're talking about like survivability 71, artillery 87, these are your ratings. This is a somewhat arbitrary number based off of how Wargaming considers the power of the ship's characteristics. Out of 100. Well, thank you very much, Helquin. But yeah, I would. It's supposed to be out of 100. Why is that not right, CS Frosty? And you can see again, 30 millimeter on Henri. Oh, you're Crimson. Oh, you changed your name. Cool. Right, yeah, nobody really cares about the ratings. They don't really matter much. Like a defensive 80 isn't gonna save you from a carrier strike. It takes 6 months to get it back. Okay. Well, there you go. Good to see you, Crimson.
Heck, a defensive AA rating of 100 won't save you against a carrier.
No. So I wouldn't even worry about it. The ratings just give you a general. I would use the ratings, like the numbers here, to give you a general impression of what you're about to do and how it's going to impact the ship. But even then, there are times where it doesn't seem like the ratings seem to change. A great example of that is Tier 4 American Destroyer Clemson. I'm sorry, I mean Clemson. Because the stock hull Clemson, actually no, it's the gun. The stock gun Clemson, if you look at artillery rating goes up by 1, which is BS, because this additional upgrade is essentially adding a second barrel to every single gun turret. Now you tell me, how is that only going to increase this rating by a factor of 1? You know what I mean? That's just stupid. So, you know, don't worry about it too much. Now,
another way to look at it is like survivability 100. You look at a Thunderer's health, which is only what 82k, and then you take a Yammy's health, which is what 100 and something k.
Mm-hmm.
No, 97, and it's still 100. I mean, it's
right. Yes.
Yeah.
It's really not that big of a deal. So don't worry about that. Don't focus on the numbers. It's not a linear scale. I don't know what the scale is. That's what I mean by it's arbitrary. It's just whatever they put in and programmed, and that's it. So, like Kate was saying, though, if you learn torpedo ratings when you load the game, you can look at torpedo rating of a Shimakaze and determine if that Shimakaze is using 8, 12, or 20 kilometer torpedoes. And if you're really good, you can even memorize that with torpedo acceleration as well. Which now that I think about it, you don't or swift fish, you don't lose range. So it's interesting. Let's bring the spreadsheet back up. Mysore Pre, that's right. There you go. Let's talk about battleships. Here's my battleship build, and once again, if you guys want to join in the spreadsheet here, you can follow along. Did I? I misspelled. Lol. There's the link. All hail the mighty spreadsheet. Damn right. So here's my standard battleship build and a secondary build for the two of however you want to play it. So for a standard battleship, you're probably going to want to go for survivability, so emergency repair. You could make the case for gun feeder, so you can change out between AP and HE quickly. If you're a torpedo armed battleship and you absolutely hate having your tubes destroyed out from under you, then preventative maintenance helps. Or if you're a French battleship like a Jean Bart, then that's going to help you as well. Spreadsheet, the bringer of the Nerf hammer.
It's nothing like making a John Bart player so mad as you breaking their turrets.
Absolutely correct. So, for me, that's why preventive maintenance is useful there. Second point, Most Battleship players are going to go for Grease the Gears to get their guns to turn more quickly. You could also go Priority Target, but I would pick one of those two as your first 2-point. Probably going to be Grease the Gears, but like I said, it's to taste, whichever one you prefer. Third is probably going to be basics of survivability. Keep yourself alive longer. Fourth is going to be concealment. And then the fifth thing that you're going to pick is probably the opposite of Grease the Gears or Priority Target. That's what I would pick for my core build on a standard Battleship. And then fourth point is where it gets in, or the next point is where it gets interesting. You can either go fire prevention if you want to go full tank build, or you can go Deadeye. And then what I picked is following was the same thing again. And then finishing it up with, again, one more 1-point skill. Now, you don't have to go my way, and that's why I didn't bold it. Like, I would say the core build is what most Battleship players are going to want to start, and then you play off of it as you want. So let's take a look at the Battleships here, and let's talk about Deadeye for a second. Deadeye will increase the accuracy of main guns by 10% if there's no visible enemy ships within your base detectability radius. So what the heck does that mean? Let's go ahead and bring up a Battleship. And let's bring up a tier 10 Battleship, the Thunderer, which we talked about earlier. Here we go. So my Thunderer base concealment right now is 13.7. If I were to throw a commander on it, let's put Cunningham on it. And let's... I was doing Cunningham with snowflakes, so apologies for that, but let's take a look here. So that, followed by that, and that, and that's
12.2.
and that.
For your concealment.
12.3. 12.3. All right, so let me just master this for a second here. This is what matters. The rest of them don't matter right now. But 12.3 kilometer is your concealment. It's extremely, extremely stealthy. So what that means is if you are, let's say, 13 kilometers away from your nearest target, or there's a destroyer within range that could spot you, but they are not detected because they're hiding behind an island or they're in a smoke or something like that, congratulations, your guns suddenly are 10% more accurate. So take that dispersion and increase or decrease that dispersion by 10%. That is a similar effect to what most people take here, which is Aiming Systems Modification 1, which is a 7% decrease to main dispersion. Okay? So that's how Deadeye works. The reason I recommend it on most standard battleships is because most people are going to play battleships in a medium range. Now, I understand that a lot of people like to snipe with it too, which I think most people listening to this and hanging out here probably agree that that's not going to be very effective, right? And that's fine. So, you know, if you're going to be medium range, I think that I would say it's very helpful to have Deadeye, okay? Especially if you are good at controlling your detectability. So if you're good at, like, being behind an island and shooting for free at targets, Deadeye is extremely helpful, right? Because you're not detected. If you go into somebody's smoke screen and you're not detected, and then you open fire, you get that also, you know, you get that bonus as well. So, you know, if you're working in tandem with the destroyer and you're using that smoke to sneak up on somebody, I mean, it's really helpful. So, you love the W? What do you mean, love the W? Oh, you mean like the W key, like charging forward or whatever? Okay. Waiting Bird, what do you got? Oh, press W to win. Yeah. So, wait, it's not whether you are detected, Zath, it's whether an enemy ship is detected inside your standard radius.
That's... I think that's what you meant to say.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. I'm sorry. I've got too much going in my mind.
Because it also depends on the battleship too. I mean, also depends on your modules too. My Thunderer, I've always ran the range mod on mine.
So, Coughlin, what happened? What happened to Deadeye being the prime battleship noob trap in my book? What happened to that, Coughlin, is playing a lot of battleship games, and the point of this chat is to talk about the commander skills before you lose the ability to completely respec your captains, right, for free. And we're talking about what we've learned in the process and how things go down. And what I've learned from playing battleships is that extra 10% to accuracy comes in handy more times than I would like to, admit. For somebody who knows how to aim well with battleships, Deadeye is a really, really good skill. But for somebody who doesn't understand how to aim, it's really not going to help them. Now, I still do think that this skill is a noob trap in that a lot of newer players are going to take it and not understand how to use it as a result of taking it. So let me put Chrome back up for a second. And let me go to under Toxic's Words of Wisdom. And right here, I've gone ahead and I found a post on, I think it was on Reddit, that explained what happens to your accuracy as a result of Deadeye, assuming Deadeye activates. And then you can see on the right side here the impact of that extra range. Okay, the reason I still consider Deadeye to be a noob trap is if it encourages players to sit in the back and farm, that's not going to help. That's absolutely not going to help. But if you're a player that knows how to aim and you've got a lot of experience in the game, then Deadeye is going to buff you as long as you kind of understand how to maneuver yourself and all that kind of stuff on the battlefield. Again, caveat, I'm still learning this. I'm still practicing this myself, and I don't consider myself to be the foremost, authority on the situation. Unfortunately, when we were talking originally, I looked at improved secondary battery aiming as being what you want to go for because you want that extra... not that one. Sorry, close quarters combat as being what you want because you want that extra 10% reload buff to your timings. Unfortunately, I found that just didn't activate enough often for me because in addition, this synergizes well with long-range secondary shells. So I kind of felt like I wasn't getting enough mileage out of it because I wasn't close enough to the enemies in order to make it work. And a lot of times, in order for me to make that work, I found myself charging too close to the enemies, and we've all seen the battleship sitting in the back of the map. So if I'm the only battleship that's pushing, then I'm the only battleship that's being focus fired and whittled down. So by the time I got to the point where close quarters combat worked, it just simply wasn't effective. Again, that's my own personal testing, and I'm trying to share with you guys the results of what I've seen. And your mileage may be different, and that's okay. So to me, I look at Deadeye as being something that if I'm able to do okay with it, then fine. But you'll note that I will most likely take fire prevention first over Deadeye because the ability to not burn in 4 places is just so much more helpful, right? Than being able to shoot somebody with 10% better accuracy. Now, some people have been asking. Dvorkman, yeah, you said you came to the same conclusion. You took the reload module. Oh, okay. Makes sense. Some people were asking about secondaries. Again, same core build for battleships for secondary build, and then you can get into long range. They can get an improved secondary battery aiming, and then you unfortunately don't have enough points. I guess this is where the other problem comes into play with that skill with close quarters is you just don't have enough points to make it work unless you're willing to give up concealment. Right, Coughlin. If you're going for a full tank build, you're going to have to give up Deadeye in order for that to work, right? That extra heal comes in really handy for some ships. Again, it comes down to your preference.
It's still situational, depending on the battleship. Like if you take a Montana, for instance, especially if you're equipping the legendary mod, and bet your best protection range for the Montana is only 15.6 kilometers. I mean, it's still pretty good size. So if you use Deadeye, you only will get a little bit of use out of it before you close in or get closed in on it.
Right.
You know, you're better off to either do emergency repair or take a skill that I don't really take much, is the fire prevention.
Right.
Because of the Montanas with the legendary mod doesn't burn very long.
And again, guys, this all comes down to what you would prefer. Let me drop Stevie for a second, so you guys can see the full text. I apologize for having that blocked off there. Hi, Zarin. Moin, hello. How are you? Oh, okay. I just said I was going to drop Stevie, and then he comes back. How are you doing, Siren? I hope you're having a great evening now. Great Valentine's Day in Germany. Check her out. She's a pretty awesome streamer out in Deutschland. Oh, I need to drop the Chrome so you guys can see. There's her shout out there. Hi. She is a very fun streamer. One thing I like about her is that she's always very positive, almost always has a smile on her face. So if you're having a dark day or something and you want to just be uplifted, even though you can't understand German, it's still fun. And she speaks English and understands English too. And she's very friendly. We have destroyers that intentionally get themselves spotted just to laugh and say your Deadeye isn't working anymore. Yes, that's very true, Devarpin. No cat count? Well, Stevie is next to me. I think he wants my lap, but but I'm standing right now. So, there he is.
Well, the funny counter to that argument of whenever they got the destroyers that charge in and get spotted to try to negate your Deadeye is like, well, guess what? I'm just going to shoot at you. You're still a target to be aimed at. You know? Destroyers are no less immune to being shot at than any other ship.
Right.
So let them charge in and get shot at. I mean, I'm about 50-50 when it comes to hitting destroyer in a battleship. So come on. Come at me, bro.
Yep. All right, let's get the lap cam going. There's Stevie. He probably had a little bit of food or snack or something, so I told you guys before. Don't you poop on my new clothes. Okay, good. I told you guys before, it's all, calling Zesk.
Check his butt. Check his booty. Check his booty.
He would poop on you?
Not on purpose, no, but he'll have it he'll have little
Oh,
runny
okay,
and,
dingleberries.
Yeah.
I had
anyway.
I had a tailless cat that had problems with their sphincter muscles because of not really having a tail. So,
Oh, that's
I
unfortunate.
can feel you.
My this camera is going wonkadoo.
It's the lighting. It's too much lighting.
There we go. All right, Stevie fixed it for you guys. That actually worked out perfectly. Last time you had to take the taxi because you had to go to the doctor and couldn't use your car. Oh, because somebody parked in front of your garage. That sucks. You're welcome. Cat poop chronicles, right?
You.
Baby wipes. Well, as someone who's fostered kittens before. Okay.
All right. Stone just sent me a message asking to join. Lol. He's, I believe, streaming right now, and Fem's over there hanging out, which is pretty awesome. But I let him know we're still talking about commander builds and stuff for right now, at least. Sign in front of your garage. You can leave your car here as a gift. We thank you for your contribution. Now, that's a good sign, Coughlin. That's a good idea. somebody had asked on the forums, what secondary build do you recommend for competitive? Which is a bit of an oxymoron because you don't run secondaries in competitive. So just putting that out there in case anybody is thinking about that for a secondary build. But yeah, you don't want to run that. Okay.
Well, think about it like torpedoes. It's not your main armament. It's a bonus. It's just a surprise.
Right. Secondary build, I don't consider secondary build dead. Secondary builds are very fun. Secondary builds are meant to be where if you like just seeing all your guns going off and going crazy. That being said, I would say secondary build probably, isn't going to be what gets you a win necessarily. 1v versus 1 ranked is the one place where I would say secondaries are hilarious because you can isolate your target down to one opponent and you're good. But for the most part, I don't consider them to be that special anymore. I certainly would not take, if you want to go secondaries, I mean, I have in here improved secondary battery aiming. I should probably switch this to include or close quarters expert. I think it's what's called. Whatever the close quarters skill is. Like I could
close quarters expert.
Close quarters combat. Whatever. You guys understand what I'm talking about, right? Because the secondaries, trigger that 10% reload buff. So either one is fine, but yeah. So, okay. Last chance for questions about battleships. If not, we'll talk about carriers, and then we'll talk about some questions that people asked on the forums, and then we'll get into some ops or replays or whatever.
Something I gotta say about secondary is that you can't play them like you used to, but you just be more cautious. Use islands and cover, and then you can get closer in. Because if you go charging in, you're just gonna die.
Right. Since Stevie's on my lap,
they're still fun.
Yep. And as Cocklet calls it, the Blapendary build. Love that name. Love the name. All right, guys, let's move on over to aircraft carriers. I don't have any screenshots to share with you guys just yet, but for most carriers, what I find is the core build is going to be things that buff your plane speed and plane health. So that's going to be air supremacy, improved engines, aircraft armor, enhanced aircraft armor, and survivability expert. When I look at aircraft carriers, those are the ones that I think most. Lots of noise coming from my Discord. Weird. Okay. I wonder if I have another audio source someplace. And then from there, you could do site stabilization, improved engine boost, or engine techie. That's what I would probably recommend for most carriers. Yes, faster, healthier, as Harley says, right? But yeah, so that's how I would build most carriers. A few carriers might be a little bit different. For example, if I were to build a indomitable carrier, last gasp is really important. And I talked about, no, not that. I talked about that before, about how the indomitable, because of the fact that the squadron size is so small, you have basically 2 attacks that you can pull off, and then you return back for your I think that's for your bomber's attack aircraft. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3, but you get the idea. It's 3 for attack aircraft, but for bombers, you go full W, and then you when you exhaust your engine boost, you do a pre-drop, and then last gasp kicks in, and boom. Now you can speed all the way to your enemy target, drop on them, rinse and repeat until you've gotten your witherer farmed. So it's a really easy way to do it. You had a noisy tab open. Okay, no worries, Duckman. Thanks for letting me know, though. I appreciate that you take the time to let me know regardless. That's really, really helpful. Kaga, for example, is a carrier where you're going to have more you know, you're going to have more torpedoes. So I could see maybe you trying proximity fuse, but I don't know that that's going to be extremely helpful. I would say torpedo bomber might be more helpful because of the 10% arming distance. Swift fish as well being helpful. But you can see that the skills that I picked are all generalist skills that apply to everything in your loadout for your carrier. But certain carriers, I mean, you know, you don't play Kaga for the attack aircraft, right? So, you know, you play the Kaga for the torpedo bombers. So why not build out, you know, pick skills that will buff out your torpedo bombers? Makes sense, right? I saw some people, I think I saw, what's his name? Askins, trying out the consumable build with squadrons and like full, like, you know, going down the right path here. I could see I could see that being successful. The only problem with doing that is you're most likely doing it at the expense of your own damage. So you'll probably win more games-ish, maybe, but you're not going to have as high XP earnings. Oh, Stevie's had enough with me. He's just sitting there now. I don't know what he wants. So, I mean, you could do that, but I still think that the core build is where you want to start. I always felt that you had some meme fighter kills with that setup, Harley. I always think that most of the time when it comes to carriers, I mean, you want to focus on doing damage. You want to focus on, you know, what's going to get you the most XP. So, if you have binational, IJN, Pan-Asian Commander, you have both Sanzang and Kaga, you can technically have a captain fit for both Kaga and Saipan. Yeah, Stevie wants his Valentine's gift. That's very true, kitten. Is there a binational? Oh, you're talking about. Wait a minute. Am I missing something? Am I missing something? Is there a commander you can put on that's also Pan-Asian? Am I Changi? Okay. I don't think I have him. Is that somebody you had to get from a bundle or you had to buy from the armory or something? And I apologize, guys. There are things that I miss in this game, and that's why you guys are all here to point things out. You had to get her from the armory. Oh, okay. Did she have any special abilities, or was it just kind of like a Dasha, just one other person that you pick up? I'm guessing it was just a normal 10-point captain.
A Grey 7227 is now following.
A Grey, thank you very much for the follow. Make sure you hit exclamation point ticket for our giveaway. We'll do our drawing when we finish talking about carrier stuffs. Okay. So she was a 12-pointer. Nice. Dark Leaves, thank you as well for the follow. Appreciate it. Same thing for you.
Dark Leaves is now following.
All right. Any other questions about the carriers? I don't know if there's any other ones. What's up, Buzzkill? Okay, so let me go into my stream planner. I had written down some questions that people were asking about. One person asked about ships that needed dedicated captain builds. Chat, you're welcome to chime in on this, but when I think about dedicated captain builds, these are ships that play differently than the tech tree. So that would be ships like the Smolensk. Russian destroyers up to tier 7 have a different build than Russian destroyers at tier 8 and up, because you need grease the gears for tier 7. The German destroyers with 150s with the different calibers would work. Friesland is a great example. Pretty much all of the pan-European premium ships, right? The Orkan, Småland, they're going to be special builds as well. Creeping smoke cruisers like the Perth and the Hwanghae are going to be different too. So pretty much just any ship that plays differently than the tech tree line. You don't need extra marksman if you take the turret reverse. Okay. Thanks, Toshkent.
Now something funny with me is every one of my ships have a cap.
Okay.
I've only taken 3 captains up from as I've ground a ship line up to a next ship. I've always just left them in the ship that they've been in because of the retraining costs so high.
Yep.
And with this new captain rework this past month, I've taken advantage of the discount and raising captains up through different lines I've been grinding. But before, every one of my ships have a special captain in it, and I've still got spares.
Yep, and all of my tech tree ships, and that's one thing I did before the patch hit, all of my tech tree ships have captains. Even the Chester has a captain in it. It's a 15-pointer because I had a 15-pointer that was spare. Lol. You know, Bogoder I think is a 19. Nope, 10. Never mind. But, you know, like, yeah, you're right. And I, generally speaking, do not recommend dismissing captains for credits to get some Elite Commander XP. I think you're far better off just keeping them there and building up a new. You can use, like, if I got a new ship, a new tech tree ship that has nobody on it, I would throw a captain on it that was under 10 points and then use Commander XP to boost it up to 10. And then you go with my core build, boom, and then go from there. So, yeah, I mean, really, is it bug? Don't accelerate with Elite Commander XP or you'll lose your current XP balance. Interesting. Good to know, Duckman. Thank you.
Yeah, I never used the accelerated commander. I always used the 50 doubloon cost for mine.
Well, right now it's 50 doubloons, right? It's on sale, but
yeah,
it goes back to 500 starting with the new patch when it hits. So
yeah, when that happens, then guess what? If I move a commander, he's going to have to sit there and grind all that XP.
Yep. One thing I want to highlight, somebody on the forum when I asked about planning for the stream wanted me to make sure I call out that players need to adapt to changes and enjoy having new stuff. We've talked about that on our stream multiple times. You know, what Wargaming has done with the Commander skill rework is change the game completely. Well, not completely, but enough to make it feel different, which is cool. It's made it less stale and stagnant, so that's good.
Wargaming threw us out of our comfort zone. We had gotten too comfortable, and so they threw this in on us, and it made us uncomfortable.
But I think we needed it. I really do. I agree. We needed it.
We did.
Yep.
Wait till subs come. That's going to really throw everybody out of their comfort zone yet again. And that's what we need. We need to stop being complacent.
Right.
That's
Right.
why I have so many ships. That's why I have so many different playstyle ships. Is because I get bored very easily playing the same ship over and over and over.
So a lot of people, you know, we've all seen the pictures of people hanging out in the back of the map and sniping and all that kind of stuff. And Ugly Kid, I think you're making the point I'm just about to make. You said it made it less stale and stagnant with a question mark because your experience is different. We all look at those players that are max range, the cruisers that have purposely taken skills that counteract their
anti-detection skill.
Yes. And then they just sit in the far back of the map. Hindenburg is a good example of that. You can take a Hindenburg captain and you can add on top of that heavy HE and SAP to penalize your detection. But you can also and then you take top grade gunner with it, and all. So yes, you're going to see that kind of anti-concealment. But the thing is that I think part of the reason why you're seeing a lot of this whole sitting in the backfield is because players are not comfortable yet. Players don't know what works, what doesn't. They're worried about their stats. They're worried about losing the battle or dying early or whatever. And as a result, they're playing more cautious than they normally would. Think about yourself as a player. Are you more or less interested or willing to push a cap if you know you've got support with you? Right? Or if you know you can take on an enemy ship that you're going to encounter, you're probably more likely to jump in and push. So keep that in mind. Anti-concealment is interesting for Flint in co-op. It's practically always active, and you hide in smoke and farm the... Yeah, Cthulhu. Yes.
Definitely, it definitely works in the Flint. It can even work in Atlanta, too.
Oh, wait. Did you go poop? Okay, good, he didn't. Just making sure, because he left and came back, which is usually a sign that he went to the toilet. Yeah, I'm talking about you.
I still find it so funny is that my Thunderer gameplay has always been the same before and after the Commander rework. And you sit there and you see these people complain about the ship sitting in the back sniping. I was like, well, there's some battleships that's what they were designed to do.
Right.
And you only push mid to late game with some of these battleships because you get close.
Mm-hmm.
The Thunder's disbursement is still ridiculously good anyway, regardless of having Deadeye or not. Just
right.
Makes it more. If you learn to aim.
So somebody said, how do you contribute to the team in a game that's wall sniping at the back and using the Deadeye skill? And what time is the good decision to push? So those are really hard things to consider, to think about. How do you contribute to the team that's sniping on the back wall? You leave that flank. If you've got a whole bunch of people on your flank that are way in the backfield, then there's no point for you sitting anywhere closer on that flank. 2 reasons. 1, you are actually spotting for them if you're the one that's closest to the enemy. So you're actually enabling their behavior being far away. And 2, if you are the only one in the middle and they're all the way in the backfield sniping, then they're not really going to help you that much if you get detected and focus fired and killed. So personally, if I see teammates that are doing that, I just leave them. I go to the center of the map or I switch to the other flank entirely. And that's for me playing as a destroyer player. Cruiser player makes the same sense as well, like saying if you're in a Des Moines or something and you're trying to lock down a cap, there's no point in saying, fine, I'll just go do this myself, and going up there, because what's going to happen is you're going to get super salty and angry because you died and everybody else in the backfield is still up there. Okay? So generally speaking, keep an eye on the minimap, and when you see that happening, reposition. That's all you can do. You can argue with them in chat. You can call them names. Get yourself reported. It's just not going to help. So don't enable their behavior. Don't spot for them. Go someplace else. If they don't have spots, they're going to have to move someplace else. Okay? Now, there's another reason I recommend repositioning. And that's because how many of you guys have seen on the map your teams do this? Your team goes this way, the enemy team goes this way, and you just toilet bowl around. Why not make that sniping wall the hold side so that the enemy is pushing into them, therefore making them more effective, okay? The way you do that is by repositioning, by pushing more towards the center or the flank that your team is pushing. Force that team to make that circle and do a hammer and anvil tactic. Make them an anvil whether they like it or not. Okay? That's how you're gonna win. Ish. Okay? Or you just drive back there and say, hey guys, what's going on back here? Having a party, can I join you? Lol.
There you go.
Well, if you have the battleships that are sitting in the back, those are the ones that are going to get focused by the other snipers. If you continuously move, it makes you less of a target.
Oh, Disneck, that was great. That was great. In Australia, the circle goes the other way. Oh my god. I was not ready for that one, Disneck. Oh my god. But yeah. So I mean, like, and the thing to think about too is that sniping, like Deadeye and you know, the builds that help, like Shane mentioned, they're really good for static opponents. So, you know, sometimes Deadeye is a blessing when you're in a battleship that can just wreck a Baoan Des Moines that's sitting still. And I've got cat fur in my
CV
face.
hunter. If you get your CV to spot the other CV, then all the Deadeye battleships, like your Thunders, your Yammies,
Yep.
your Vermonts, that can reach out and inappropriately stroke the CV and sink it. Therefore, you can get it out of the game. It's an encouragement. If you have a CV, it's an encouragement. Hey, let's take out this CV from long range.
Uh-huh.
Because the AP still hurts like heck. You can even Citadel with the Thunder's HE, a CV, from 25 kilometers. It's really fun to watch in chat, to watch the CV players suddenly explode in that rage because they get sniped dead.
Right. Hey, swear to God, these Muppets and Sea Bear. I've had those experiences as well, and sometimes it's frustrating. That's why we have operations. That's all I can say.
And
you know?
co-op too. We can
And
go
co-op.
to co-op.
A certain clan
Go
you
to
absolutely
co-op,
know.
set your secondary battleship up, go into co-op, and just sit there and just do your autopilot, and then tab out and go read the news.
Yep. Guys, I've got a vote up for what you would like to see us do next when we get into our next segment. So we can switch over to operations or we can go straight to replays. I'd love to hear from you guys what you think. If we do operations, it will be no more than an hour of operations so that we can do at least 3 hours of replay analysis. At some point later, I'll talk about Fabletics as well. My co-op play with no... gone through the roof. No skill captains. Okay. Other things that were brought up on my stream planner document. Where is it? Winners and losers in terms of particular ships. Battleships, you can consider that a winner or loss depending on how you play. Carriers, I think it's... they're carriers. Do we really need them to win or whatever? Cruisers... Cruisers, I would say, have probably lost a little bit because, unfortunately, as we were talking about before, there's just not a lot of room for the builds. And I guess you could say the same thing for battleships in a sense. I think that the destroyers are the ones that have won the most out of this current skill rework, personally. But that's...
Yeah, you get a sneaky destroyer, they can go around the edge of the map and go torp the Deadeye battleships.
Right. Now,
they're sitting still.
I will say that's partially because I never bothered to do... I never bothered to take priority target in most of my destroyer builds anyways, so losing the ability to take priority target at 1 point skill doesn't hurt me as a player at all, right? So I don't care. But for a lot of other players, that's kind of a nerf to them or a challenge for them. What ships do I see needing a dedicated captain build? We kind of just covered that earlier. Where do I see some of the special captains being optimally used with new skills? So on my spreadsheet, I've got a Zath's... special captains here. I've got a list of special captains and where I see them coming in really handy. I need to put that back up for you guys. There you go. Alright, Stevie is... Alright, good. Stevie is going to his bed now. So I've got the spreadsheet here with that information. So if you're trying to think about that, then there you go. Rating. I mean, you see that in any class, really. I mean, battleships don't maybe YOLO as much as they used to, but what they do is almost just as bad, right? Sitting in the back and being ineffective on the battlefield. Destroyers can definitely YOLO in and get themselves killed, and I think part of the reason for that is because the dazzle skill being that noob trap, making people think that they're invincible if they get detected, and they get a little bit too aggressive. A lot of destroyer players do not understand how to play around radar, and this is before the patch hit, so this is almost worse now. And they sure as hell don't know how to play around hydroacoustic search. There's one last question that was asked, and that was about King of the Sea. If you guys don't mind, I'd like to table that for our next discussion. I'd like to make that our topic for the next one. And it's not because I'm trying to dodge it. It's simply because I know some of you guys don't care, and we've been talking for 2 hours now. And I want to get into some actual gameplay, whether that be replays or operations. And I want to give King of the Sea, and competitive gaming for that matter, the talk time that's necessary for that. So I'm going to table that, Duckman. I apologize for that. I know you want to know my thoughts about King of the Sea. I know a lot of you guys want to know my thoughts about it too. But I think we'll table that for right now. Okay? Cool. I'll give you a quick TLDR, Duckman. I'm excited and scared. So there's your TLDR, and there's your hook to come in next week on my birthday, and we'll talk about King of the Sea, and I will probably drink copious amounts of dirty water to celebrate being old.
When is this King of the Sea you speak of?
What?
I said, when is this King of the Sea you speak of?
We don't know the next one. They just announced that Wargaming is taking over King of the Sea.